1, 0. All engine running.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucer. The Air Force interest in this problem has been due to our feeling of an obligation to identify and analyze to the best of our ability anything in the air that may have the possibility of threat.
Just before 9 o'clock this morning in New York, a passenger jet which had taken off from Boston slammed into the World Trade Center. Thick black smoke blotted out the Manhattan skyline.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Esoteric Roundtable. We are your hosts. I am Justin. I'm joined here with Ben. What up, Ben?
What's up?
What's going on? Today, Ben's going to introduce us, well, introduce you guys and me, I guess, to our new show. Ben, it's called The Couch Cult, right?
The Couch Cult. So we have been missing for about 3 weeks. Justin and I have had an idea. We're trying to run with it. This is going to be our little introduction episode to the new series, The Couch Cult. We're big fans of the One-on-One podcast, who has a series. Shout out. They have a series on their podcast called the Occult Book Club. We really liked the idea. We didn't want to copy the idea, so we decided to go a little step further with it. Instead of looking over material from these cults, like their writings and books and things of that nature that can be very difficult to find, I had the idea, well, what if we just started a series where we dive into cults individually, but as our own cult? So all you subscribers, I hate to tell you, but you are in a cult. You're in the Couch Cult. If you're watching, you're in our cult. So we're going to ascend to the next level here shortly. But we all sit on our couches and make fun of other cults. So in episode 1 of the Couch Cult, we have our first cult that we're going to dive into. We mentioned it in our last episode as part of the End of the World series. This first cult, many of you may know, pretty famous in the late 90s, Heaven's Gate. Now, Justin, what do you know of Heaven's Gate?
Heaven's Gate, man. I know it's a lot of when people bring up like UFO cults and things like that, Heaven's Gate gets brought up as like the UFO cults. Yeah, man, I know it's synonymous with crazy. The picture of the main guy, Applewhite, what's his first name?
Yeah.
Marshall
Applewhite.
Marshall Applewhite. His picture, we'll pull it up here shortly, or we'll play a video with him in it. It's pretty famous. Even if you don't know the cult, you might recognize his face from like memes or something like that.
Yeah.
But
so they have a few documentaries on this cult. But what is never really explained, or what I've never really heard of throughout all these different cults, they never really talk about the origins of the leader, like the leader of the cult, because every cult has a leader. They have a charismatic person who leads them and recruits people. They have different levels and tiers. Some cults, it just depends. But sure. Heaven's Gate, if you don't know, was a cult that had a very famous mass suicide in the late 90s, and they were led by Marshall Applewhite, and at one point his girlfriend, wife, spouse, whatever you want to call her, and they called themselves the Two, so or the Duo, something like that. I'm pretty sure it was the Two, but we'll get into that later and I'll clarify that.
Nice.
But starting with Marshall,
the duo. Can we be the duo, by the way? Can we be the duo of the Couch Cult?
We'll be the duo, because they actually, as I'm reading right now, they were the Two. I looked over, that was the first thing I saw in my notes was the Two.
Yeah.
So starting off,
the
Marshall
duo
Applewhite,
sounds more homoerotic anyway, which is what I was going for.
The duo. So Justin, could you pull up that one photo we have of Marshall real quick, just to show him real quick?
For sure. You know what? I actually don't even have it pulled up.
Well, let's pull it up.
swear to God, he's so fucking crazy. He kind of looks like Aaron Cairo in this picture,
He
doesn't
looks
he?
like Aaron Cairo. And
That's
speaking
alright,
of,
we'll use this one. We'll use this one.
our
We'll use
next
this one.
video is going to be diving in, not
Oh my
into Aaron Cairo specifically,
but something he's connected to. God, isn't it so fucking crazy? Doesn't that blow your mind, dude?
blows my mind.
I don't even know if I want to get into. We'll just stop there.
Not
We'll
right
just stop
here.
there.
We'll stop right
yeah,
here.
We'll stop.
But just so you
Anyways,
guys know,
but this is
Aaron
what he
Cairo,
looks like. This is what
that's
he looks
Marshall Applewhite, which we said looks like Aaron Cairo, who is, by the way, we grew up watching, and you'll find out more about that in our next episode.
like. Yeah.
But Marshall Applewhite, this was the leader of the Heaven's Gate cult. So diving into this, the cult, let's start off with what they believed a little bit. This is from what I can gather. The
By the way,
reason
I'm
for
just
the
gonna
mass
go back to
suicide.
it. Just look
Okay,
at this
yeah, go
guy's
back to it real
fucking
quick.
face. Anyways, you can just keep talking. I'm sorry, but look at his face,
Okay.
dude.
So the Heaven's Gate cult, the mass suicide, the reason behind the mass suicide, a very brief generic description was that they believed that they were needing to ascend to a spaceship, a UFO, that was trailing behind a comet that was going to be passing by Earth.
That
So
goes
at
hard.
the moment when the comet was nearest to Earth, they mixed together this cocktail of applesauce and alcohol and opiates or some kind of prescription drug, and it caused them to go to sleep, never wake up, or that's the
What a
real
mix,
G-rated version of that. So go to sleep, never wake up, probably the most G-rated version of that. And then they had some famous pictures. They had
I wanna
pictures of
see
their
if I can
bodies.
find those, huh?
They were all wearing black and white Nike shoes. They were all dressed the exact same. They all had purple claws covering their faces, like sheets, I guess you would call them, when they found them.
I gotta be careful when I type death photos, huh? But they were all covered up, so I guess
They were all covered, so they didn't
there
show
was no
anything graphic.
gruesome.
Nothing gruesome
Let's
in
see
those.
here.
So this is,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
one.
yeah.
This is probably one of the more famous
that.
photos
That's a good one.
that we're gonna look
Oh,
at. So they're all wearing Nikes. They were covered in these purple sheets,
Oops.
and it was in this mansion in San Francisco. So 37 people died. Let me clarify that's correct. Hang on. Yeah, 37 deaths. Ooh.
Those shoes go fucking hard, dude.
They do,
I
and there's a
swear
little
they go
story
so
behind
hard.
the shoes. I like those shoes. I love
I
Nikes.
want
I
to grab
love
some.
Nikes.
Is there
I'm a
still any
Nike shoe.
stipulation between those? Because
I don't think
if not,
anymore.
I kind of want some, and if so, maybe they're cheaper. Nah, probably more
Let's
expensive.
see. So yeah, no, I'm sorry. I said 37 adults. 39 adults died in the mass suicide. So you're seeing one of 39. So there's 38 more of them that were, goners. 21 women and 18 men between the ages of 26 and 72. So quite a big age difference there.
Yeah, 72, man. I wonder. Oh, 72 may
That's
have been the
old.
guy.
Could you imagine
that,
your grandma
Marshall?
or grandpa? Probably.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Imagine living your whole life just to be like
kill yourself in
going
a
through
cult.
shit like World War II and then
Yeah.
believing this fucking guy after that, you know?
Yeah. So I do want to go into that a little bit. But before then, just imagine your grandma or grandpa.
Yeah,
just
that
chilling it
too.
up
It's
in
like,
retirement.
oh, Billy, I gotta tell you about this new guy
Yeah.
I've been hanging out with, this new church I've been going to. Oh,
Yeah.
you'll just love him.
You ought to come visit, and
You'll
can
love the
join us.
applesauce. You'll love the
Yeah.
applesauce. Yeah.
You ought to convert.
You can join us, Billy. Join us. Yeah,
You
dude.
better
No,
join
for
us.
real. Like, what the fuck?
You better join.
I think like it's easy to point the finger and be like a bunch of fucking weirdos
Yeah.
joining up with people like this, but then like I don't know, you think about things like gangs and
Yeah.
from the outside
Absolutely.
of a gang looking in, you're like, that's fucking stupid. It's just a trap into the prison system or death. But when you're in that, you're like, dude, I got my brotherhood backing me up. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm good.
Absolutely.
And,
And
even
I
almost
think-
just religions,
Yeah.
as a Christian, you hear that all the time. I don't fear death because I know where I'm going. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They didn't fear death because they knew where they were going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. And I think I do want to touch on this for a minute. It is easy, like Justin said, to point the finger, but I think the gang reference that you just made is a pretty good example of how someone could fall into a cult. Now, while I know that most gang-related instances, like they grew up around it, they really didn't trust police authority in their area. They were the authority, and really, like the gang culture in Los Angeles, it started with good cause, like to help keep the streets clean in their area, and then it started a whole bunch of other gangs formed, and then other things happened there. But what there's a common theme of is that you have people who are in a broken environment, who are in an environment that's not as fortunate, or maybe something traumatic happened in their life, like a sibling passing, a father figure passing.
Correct. People who are in a weaker state of mind, and then the other matching theme to that is how you were mentioning earlier, the charismatic leader who can kind of feel out for these people who are fucked up. That's not every person that I'm sure went to one of these cult meetings stuck. Some people saw that fucking crazy face and they were like, I'm never coming back here. But it's broken, damaged people that, like, you know what I'm saying? That he knows he can sink his claws into. So. And
even then, it could be something of somebody who just has no social connections, who has no friends, who don't have a social group. A lot of times, I mean, this is the same as religion in a sense, or a gang, maybe like they're lacking a father or mother figure. Maybe they're lacking, a social group or people that they connect with, that they get along with. And so a cult is one avenue that offers them this kind of camaraderie and this kind of belief system that is more than themselves. Because I think regardless of what you believe, if you believe in God or you don't believe in God, if you're Christian or not a Christian, the one thing that everyone's searching for is something more. They want to know more about something. That internal curiosity, the gears keep grinding, and you're thinking, man, there has to be more to life than just living and dying.
Absolutely, man.
And
everybody has these thoughts.
So I think there's a very complex web of how someone could get caught in a cult, and they may not even realize it.
Yeah, sure.
And
I think there's shit like fucking people who are obsessed with the Kardashian shows and shit like that.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at anybody's wife or anything, but people who, like, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
We've even mentioned like radical leftists or radical Republicans.
Radical, yes, the MAGAs, I think the Bernies that comes to mind, but the Bernies really, they're not radical about shit. But yeah, I mean, it really is like, it's easy to fall into a cult, man. Even myself, honestly, you know what I'm saying? There's been times where I've like religiously thought about things, and then you find yourself like, oh, shit, I don't know. I might just step back from this a little bit. I might be really too into this one thing or this one person, this one creator or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And,
To
speak on that a little bit.
Oh, sure.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, we're talking about cults here, so
taking it, man.
There is a very close connection. A lot of people. The big question is when does a cult become a religion, and when does a religion become a cult? I don't believe that not every religion is a cult. I do believe there are religions that are very cult-like. I do believe there are cults masquerading as a religion.
Well,
probably the biggest reason
it's
for a
like
cult
my great-grandpappy always said, Ben. Not every Kid Rock fan is a meth head.
Yeah.
Every meth head is a Kid Rock fan.
Exactly.
So not every religion is a cult.
Yeah.
But I honestly can't even say every cult is a religion,
No, but every cult has religion-like tendencies.
Yeah, so I guess they make it a religion. You know what I'm saying? This doesn't have to be about God. It can be anything. Like the leader is the head of the religion. So yeah, right.
And also, I mean, what would be the biggest benefit of being a religion if you are a cult? One, in America, you get a tax-exempt status. That's probably a big deal to some of them.
Yeah.
But another thing too is the reason why there's a difference. Now, I will say, like, I am a Christian, so for me, when I look at things like this, I do go to a church that is a denominational church. However, like, I'm not a follower of religion. I'm a follower of what I feel is the correct way to live. But that's just
Yeah,
me.
for
I'm
sure.
not telling anybody
I
else to
will
live like
back
that.
you up
Yeah.
on that for sure, man, because I know we
Yeah.
mentioned this in our theology episode, but
Yeah.
I know you go to I don't want to out you since you didn't say it, but I know
That's okay.
your denomination can be pretty particular, you know.
In some people's
and I
eyes.
know, yeah, well, I don't mean like, I'm not even saying like weird. I just
Yeah,
know they're
no, I
not,
know
they're really set in their ways. They have their ways, and everybody can, from the outside looking in, can have different views. So you kind of have that outer crust where a lot of them are kind of like, fuck you, my shit
Yeah.
is real, fuck you, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
you're always been super accepting and open, and just
Yeah.
able to have like open conversations about shit like that, you know what I'm saying? So
And that's how it should be, man.
appreciate
Like,
that, absolutely.
I think anybody that is a Christian, or anybody that follows a religion, like, don't be afraid. Don't think that I'm sitting there calling your belief system a cult. I don't believe that. But what I'm saying is that cults will try to align themselves with religion in the vein of like, oh, this is innocent, we're just a church, or this is innocent,
They're
we're
doing
just
it
this.
too. They're doing it too.
Yes. So that's
Exactly.
what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. I'm not saying that anybody
For sure.
that goes to church is in a cult. I don't believe that. But now, if they're wanting to commune, if they're wanting you to all dress the exact same,
Yeah, and I
like,
mean,
all
there.
brown
I'm sure
clothing.
there are some Christian like cults or something,
Yeah.
just like there was like a pagan cults and shit, you know.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm sure there
And then-
is some weird fucking people getting together, like eating each other because they're like, I'm
Yeah.
the body of Christ, so we're eating Christ. Fuck that bread shit, and they're probably looking at us like, you guys are eating bread. Well, I
Yeah.
looking at
Well,
other people, but
Look at this too, though, man. I mean, what's one of the most notable secret society that I guess you could call cultish in history that dates back? I mean, you're talking about the Knights Templar. I mean, calling them a cult, really, people call them a secret society. I mean, they were employed by the Vatican,
yeah.
all
What's
this
the
other
difference?
stuff
I mean,
too.
you hear about them getting
Yeah.
mixed in with like,
And they're very tied
yeah.
with the Freemasons, you know.
Right.
So it's
right.
there's a lot there.
Hey,
So
what's the
any
difference, dude? If their
religion-
motherfuckers are really meeting up and doing rogue ceremonies, then that's a cult. I'm sorry. I mean,
Yes.
we've seen the Bohemian Grove shit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We've done that episode. That's a cult. Maybe we should redo a deeper dive on that for this, by the way,
Yeah,
for this
after,
podcast.
and also just to touch back on that
The
real
list just
quick,
keeps getting longer, though. We need to chill
And
out.
Ryan Garcia won that fight. Now he's just going on AWOL. He's going
Dude,
all
I saw
AWOL
somebody
on
was
all
talking
the
about that he was acting crazy and shit like that. So that his opponent would be like, "All right, this is gonna be cake. This motherfucker's talking about getting fucked up by the Bohemian Grove and shit like that." And then
He
he
has
gets
not
in there and
backpedaled
actually
at
clear
all.
mind. Yeah, but he hasn't though. They're right. So yeah, we need to definitely look into that for sure.
Yeah.
But Ben, we do have this video. I don't
we do
want to
have this
cut you
video.
off.
Let me
kind of
do a little bit more introduction into it a
Yeah,
little bit. 'Cause
absolutely,
we did
please.
kind of take a right turn there
Yeah,
a little
right.
bit.
So how
but
about you talk us into this?
going
thing?
in the vein to kind of start on this a little bit to understand who this person was. Marshall Applewhite, while he seems like an absolute loony bin in the video you're going to see in just a second, this man was at one point a college professor in Austin, Texas. This man had college degrees. This man was a very talented singer. He was a very talented musician. He was born in Texas. He recruited people with his spouse or lover or whatever you want to call her, named Bonnie Lou Nettles. They both had kind of radical beliefs. Now, granted, he did have somewhat of a mental breakdown, and that's where we start seeing the downward spiral take place. This man was, from what I can gather, was at one point very normal in his thought processes, was very normal in everything that he did, had a normal job, had a career. He meets Bonnie Lou Nettles. They kind of get tied up. He has this mental breakdown, loses his house and stuff. And
you know
they
that.
start traveling.
Hey, I'm on the. Hey, I feel you, brother. I feel you, brother. You know.
They start traveling. They start getting into some legal trouble, credit card fraud, stealing rental cars in St. Louis. That was a real thing that happened to the Applewhite, Mr. Applewhite. And then they start this religion, this belief system. They had written this catalog that was kind of like the Bible in their cult. And they started recruiting people in Oregon and California and Texas. And at one point, there were well over 200 members. And then Bonnie Lou Nettles dies. in the 80s. And Marshall just kind of continues the cult.
It's crazy how when we talk about these people who are famous for notorious things, like we always hear about like someone comes in and then they just go crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I know this is the conspiracy theorist in me, but like they talk about the CIA or the letter agencies making these cults for reasons like the Watchers, which we also need to do because that is insane. I don't know if you know about all that.
I don't. On the top of my head, so
Dude,
that's something
we need
to
to,
look into.
we definitely need to do something about that. But it's just like a CIA front group type thing, you know what I'm saying? And what if this is like Waco? People say
Waco
that they purposely you know, kick the bird or the hornet's nest, you know what I'm saying? They purposely
absolutely,
so they can have that as like a look what happens when you give these cults guns, or when you let these people who have their own belief systems have guns and blah 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 and shit like that.
Yeah.
So,
and we will definitely, we would be morons to not touch on Waco at some point.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's
again, the list is just fucking. We're 3 states away, and we might as well be touching either end of the list. But
yeah,
all right.
And so going back on this, at the time of their peak, Heaven's Gate had about 200 members, and then Bonnie Lou Nettles dies, and so Marshall kind of continues the cult. And
what did she die from? Cancer?
I believe it was cancer. Yeah. They're from Texas. They traveled the world, but the mass suicide happened in San Francisco. So how that happened was they got all these members. They effectively brainwashed them. A lot of their members, their male members, were castrated.
They crazy, dude.
Just cut their junk off and threw it in the trash. Like Dave Chappelle says, don't need it.
Dude, imagine following someone that hard, man.
They all ate the same meals.
I'm trying to think of something somebody can tell me that would make me fucking castrate myself, dude.
Nothing, bro.
I'm trying to think.
Like, I'll give you $100 million.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't.
$100 million, dude. I'll buy me a new set. Anyway.
You should pay someone to make them babies for you. Fuck it.
100 million, shoot.
Yeah, but then you're fucking weird, dude. Like chemically castrated or physically. Just castrating people are weird, dude. I mean, we're weird anyways. Doesn't matter, dude. You got 100 million.
From these videos we're about to watch, maybe you can get a little look at how weird they are. But we'll understand that in a second.
For sure.
But anyway, they were really devout followers, and these people come from different walks of life. They had some money. They had some money rolling in. So they bought a mansion in San Francisco, and then they killed themselves. But they also, like, the all eating the same thing I want to touch on a little bit longer, because, man, they all wore the same shoes during their suicide, all the same clothes, all had the same robes over them, but they also all ate the exact same last meal at a restaurant. The shoes, the famous shoes, there's a little story behind that. The only reason it was Nike shoes, and the only reason they were all the same Nike shoes, is because they were on sale, and they were the only ones that had all their sizes in the same color and size. So that's the reason they did the black Nike shoes. There was no symbolism behind it.
They go hard, though.
It was some bad publicity for Nike, unfortunately. Not that they needed any, but it was some bad publicity for Nike. They all went to a restaurant the night before. They all ended everything, and then they all had turkey pot pie, they all had iced tea and cheesecake with blueberries on top of it, and then they went and did this. So everything
good last meal, man.
Yeah, that does sound kind of
hard. Pretty good last meal.
But everything they did was the same. Every one of them, there was no distinct, and I think that was a big driving point of them, was like, hey, we all have to live a separate life. They didn't watch TV, they didn't watch the news, none of that. And so segueing into that, it all seems very wild and out there, but we're going to take a look. This video is about 8 minutes, but it's going to add some context and clarity because there's no better source than the source itself.
Absolutely.
So it is a little long, 8 minutes maybe, but just bear with us on this. We're going to watch it. You can hear it right from the horse's mouth, Marshall himself. So Justin, you can go ahead.
Let's go do it. Let's do it, I said. Yeah, I know English. I speak it wrong time.
Classroom, or in old language a couple thousand years ago, disciples. Those who are trying to prepare themselves for entry into the evolutionary level above human, synonymous with the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. We're going to talk to you about the most urgent thing that is on our mind, and what we suspect is the most urgent thing on the minds of those who will connect with us. We'll title this tape Planet Earth.
This motherfucker is a lizard,
To be
dude.
recycled.
Yeah.
This motherfucker is not a human being.
Your only
Look at his
chance
face.
to
God, I'm sorry,
evacuate
listeners, but
is to leave
I like how he
with
made
us.
the title up on the fly.
Planet
Yeah, right.
Earth about to be recycled.
it's going on for a
Your
mile
only
long,
chance
dude.
to
This title's 4
survive
pages long.
Fucking A, dude.
or evacuate is to leave with us. Now, that's pretty major statement, pretty bold in terms of religion, in terms of anybody's intelligent thinking. To most people who would consider themselves intelligent beings, they'd say, well, that's absurd. What's all this doomsday stuff? What's all this prophetic stuff? You know, intelligent human beings should realize that everything has their cycle. They have their season. They have their beginning. They have their end. They have cycles. We're not saying that planet Earth is coming to an end. We're saying that planet Earth is about to be refurbished, spaded under,
can
and
hear
have
that
another
comment
chance
coming.
to serve as a garden for another human civilization. Now, the reason this is such an interesting time is not only because we're on the threshold of the end of this civilization, because it's about to be recycled, but because of where that finds us, where that finds you, where
Pause
that
it real
finds
fast.
those.
Because I just want to point out that this is a pretty common thing. The world's ending, guys. Everything has start, end. Everything has start, end. So obviously we're the right ones. You know what I'm saying?
And I noticed something too watching this is that he tries to play it as like he acknowledges. And I this is probably some kind of psychology tactic. I'm not
For sure.
But he plays on the fact that this can seem really out there. This
It's
can
gonna
seem really absurd.
sound crazy, guys.
Yeah, for intelligent people like you. So he flatters the audience.
Yeah.
Oh, intelligent thinking minded people, intelligent minded people like you and I.
Right.
This seems wild, but
God
let me tell you why
damn,
it's right.
Those motherfuckers are just crazy. His ears are honking.
Yeah, man. Like I said, he could hear that comment screaming.
I'm
towards
telling you,
Earth.
the aliens are just like beady, 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 beady,
Yeah,
beady,
he was
whispering
communicating
and
with
shit, dude.
But also, I mean, yeah, he flatters the audience, gets them feeling like, oh, well, I guess if someone as smart as him and I can think this is crazy, then we should listen to what he has to say. As part of it too. So.
Anyways, yeah, let's get back into it. Yeah, I just want to point it out. It's sounding very cookie cutter cultish so far. You know, he could have at least made some newish type shit up.
Those who would judge us, how we would speak of them, and how they would speak of us. Now, you keep saying us. Who do you think you are? Well, I, in all honesty, must acknowledge my father. My father is not a human father.
Oh, hell no.
My father is a member of the evolutionary level above human, the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. My father gave me, long before this civilization, gave me birth into that kingdom level above human, that kingdom of heaven, that kingdom of God. Now you can say, well, I can't believe that. Well, it's up to you whether you believe that or not. That's not important to me, even though I wish that you could believe it for your sake. For those who do believe it, stand a possibility of a future beyond this recycling time. Now you say, well, according to religious literature, I thought there was someone else that was going to come and be our Savior here at these end days, that was going to be Christ's return. Well, the name Christ might be a little confusing, or the name Jesus, because the name Jesus, of course, was the name given to the body that mind that was indeed from the kingdom of heaven came. And that mind was here 2,000 years ago, and that mind came for the express purpose of teaching humans how they could be saved, how they would not be plowed under at the end of the age. Well, we're at the end of the age. So the one, or the mind that was in Jesus, what? That mind is in me? You'll have to decide that for yourself. I must admit that I am here again, that I'm here saying exactly the same thing.
So
Pause for a second.
Hold
trying
on.
to say it
Yeah,
in
yeah,
today's
yeah.
language.
Hold on.
So
He's
whole
saying
thing,
he's Jesus reborn then.
yeah, he's just adulterating the New Testament.
So we were
Great
just
Commission of
talking about
Jesus.
this. Yeah, I was just saying. I wonder what a Christian cult would look. This is exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. So I guess we weren't that far in right field whenever
Yeah,
we were
no shit.
going on
Huh?
talking about that. But yeah, so his whole message was just straight adulterating the Godhead and who the God that was embodied in Jesus is.
Yeah,
To,
that's.
I guess, get followers to think, I am Jesus. I'm telling you, you must
Yeah,
unalive
but
yourself
look
with
at
applesauce
dude.
and opioids.
If this is what JC came back as, bro, we're fucked.
Yeah,
We're
that was
fucked.
a few years before I was born too. So
Yeah.
I was just born after the fact. I'm living in
Jesus
apocalypse.
Murphy.
Trying to hope that for your sakes you can see what we have to offer you, for our Father offers you life.
Love how he
Not
fucking
talking-
says it too. I love how he says it too. He's like, by the way, I'm not saying I'm Jesus,
Yeah.
but you might be saying I'm Jesus. You might say it. You would say
You
that.
might even
I
have
wouldn't
Jesus
say
in
that,
you.
but
If your
you would
mind
probably
is
say
Jesus'
that.
mind, then
If you were me, you would have Jesus in your mind. But I'm not saying that I have Jesus in my mind.
About human life, if planet is about to be recycled, and we see the planet as a stepping stone, planet Earth a stepping stone.
Common
That
between
just
UFO
as-
cults, by the way.
Within a civilization evolves upward, that each segment of civilization becomes more civilized, less barbaric in some ways. It's supposed to, not that it necessarily does. Sometimes it seems to appear to be more civilized when, in fact, it becomes more barbaric, more quick to condemn the rest of the world, more quick to kill the rest of the world that does not think as it thinks. Well,
He's speaking facts
I know
right
what I
there,
just
Applewhite.
said.
I gotta tell you.
I said that I am the
Broken clock.
return of the Son of my Father.
no, he's
I'll
deaf.
tell you
He's saying it
something
again.
that's even more remarkable.
Stepping on it.
My Father came with me.
So he is
this
saying
time.
he's Jesus.
Oh, hold on. Wait.
Came in the early 70s, took on a human form, an adult human form.
He's saying God
helped
himself
me get
came
in
with
an
him.
adult human form in the
Pause it
early
real quick.
70s, and
Ye-
we together helped those.
He said God
So-
himself came with him.
He
the
is
70s.
taking what it seems to be a monotheistic approach, which I do believe in a monotheistic Godhead, as me who is a Christian, that the spirit within Jesus was God and that Jesus was God manifested in flesh on the earth. He's saying that he is like the second coming of Jesus, that like God's spirit's within him and that he's the second coming of Jesus.
But he's also saying that God himself also took human form and came with him.
In the 70s.
All right, let's hold on. We gotta see
cocaine
where this is
boom.
going.
The cocaine boom.
It's Clinton. It's fucking Reagan. All right.
Who came with us that were also here 2,000 years ago get in the bodies that they were wearing so that they could rid themselves of human behavior, human activity, human thinking, so that they could be ready to move into the kingdom of heaven or the evolutionary level above human. These that are sitting before me have been students of T and Do. T, my father, have been students of T and Do, are still students of T and Do, even though T returned to the heavens in 1985.
Okay.
And T is my heavenly Father.
I cannot find anything about that. T.
Is that just what he's calling it? Is that like his special word for it? Did he just make it up so he's not 100% plagiarizing? He did copy the homework but change it a little bit?
I've got to do a dive and see if I can find what T-endo is. Doe? T-endo?
T-endo. I don't know. Don't you open up that window?
I don't know.
Gave me birth into that kingdom before this civilization began. Now, I'm not here to sell you on that, or who I am, or who these are. I'm here to offer you, as these are, an opportunity to know the truth so that if you can connect with it at any level, then you might survive the respading or the recycling that is about to occur.
I think that pretty much sums it up. We could pretty much wrap the video portion up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so oh shit, I didn't I might as well show I already showed it.
Might as well segue into this now.
Yeah, the SNL did do a skit about it. It is fucking super
after
funny.
The suicide.
After like 3 days after the suicide, they did a fucking skit about it, and apparently
Will
Ferrell regrets it because he's a pussy. Anyways,
so to dissect this a little bit more, this is what they were pushing. There were several VHSs and other videos made and pushed out.
For sure.
The fallout of this mass suicide was a series of copycat mass suicides. Now, I don't know that there's any way to kind of dissect to see if it was like, are these suicides really connected to the cult? Were they just remote cult members that followed his beliefs, or were they just someone who was looking for an easy out? Oh, I was in his cult, let me do it. There were hundreds and hundreds across the globe weeks after the mass suicides as copycats. So you don't really know. I mean, this man was intelligent. This man knew how to sway people with his words, at least vulnerable people, to believing what he believed. It's pretty wild.
His eyes, I mean, I would fall for it. I'm already kind of in. I'm gonna kill myself. It's funny, after seeing that video, I want to kill myself too.
I'm gonna go eat some applesauce and just go on.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good. I mean, obviously this one's a little bit older. Yeah. I think now, especially in the long haul after this, everybody can kind of look at this and go, I'm not fucking falling for that. But as we mentioned earlier, a cult can be anything, man. It can be your CrossFit team that won't leave you the fuck alone and makes you come to every meeting, or your running team, or your fucking D&D team that won't leave you the fuck alone, or just too much, and then they make you dress up, and then anything where they're just like making you get together and meet up and fucking follow their rules exactly and change yourself to fit in there, and you know what I'm saying? There's I think personally, when I call it a cult, is when there's like a negative outcome of
And
it.
same
You know?
with me, yeah.
And I mean, not to say so if you have a fucking workout group or something, that doesn't mean it's a cult. You know what I'm saying? But like,
But yeah.
if they make you work yourself out so hard to where you fucking burst your muscles out, or make you start taking steroids just to hang out with them, that's when it becomes a cult. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And if your D&D group starts making you, dress a certain way, and their next campaign's going to be ascending to the next realm, then maybe you just don't show up for that week.
Yeah. If they're talking about, hey, can you bring the applesauce and I'll bring the vodka. Hey, Jimmy, can you bring the Percocet? Just bring a whole lot of Percocet, Jimmy.
It's going to be crazy role-playing here.
Everything. Yeah, we're going to go make Zingorf on
direct
Klingon.
reenactment.
But yeah, what were you saying, brother? My bad.
Oh, I was the SNL skit cracks me up because Will Ferrell did the video. We can't show it for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
We showed the Heaven's Gate clip because who's gonna care about us showing a clip of
he's gonna all beam us down from fucking space.
Yeah.
Take it down.
Yeah, we'll know when I get abducted from a cow field. The next time I'm in a cow field. But Will Ferrell played as Marshall Applewhite, and they were calling the SNL headquarters to tell them they actually made it to the spacecraft. And it cracks me. That was one of the best SNL skits I've ever seen.
That is so fucking funny. That is hilarious.
I hope this provided some clarity. Obviously, we showed the clip for more information. Like, this is how out there they were.
Absolutely.
But there were people who believed what they were saying. They genuinely didn't believe that they were killing themselves. They thought that they were recycling this body to go to the next life.
They were just dropping their inventory.
Yeah. So for them, it was like, oh, we'll just eat this. We're going to ascend. It's time to go. They lived for this moment. This is what they were taught for years. And so that's all the time has finally come. The time has finally come. But adulterating the Bible, like, oh, well, Jesus taught how to be saved and everything. But never in the Bible does it say eat some applesauce and take opioids to go to a spacecraft.
And also remember the whole no man shall know. We talked about that in our last episode. No man shall know, especially not some motherfucker that looks like cracked out Aaron Cairo. But anyways, I don't know if it'll be next week. I don't know if it'll be the week after, ladies and gentlemen.
But our next episode.
But when our next episode comes out, we would love, love, love to see you back for some Couch Cult. And also, before we get too far into this outro, I would like to mention the Esoteric Roundtable is still around. We're not rebranding, we're not changing, we're just adding a new show because we want to leave the roundtable itself as a roundtable for when we have guests on or things like that, to kind of have, you know, an actual roundtable discussion. It's not so much of a roundtable when it's just me and Ben bouncing shit off of each other. You know what I'm saying? So we don't want to change and make a new channel. We don't want to do all the crazy shit. We're just going to have one little sub show called the Couch Cult. Yeah. So, and if you don't like it, then I would like you to get some applesauce, get some vodka, get some prescription medication, and solve it. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, I think we could go ahead and wrap this up. Ben, do you have anything that you'd like to add before we head on out of here?
Nothing else.
Sick. And now, guys, if you remember, the world is ending. There is an asteroid coming.
Always be afraid.
Always be afraid. And please remember to keep an open mind. We'll catch you